Hey everyone, Iris is here, welcome back to my channel. So today we're diving into Paolo Sorrentino's latest cinematic gem, Parthenope. Paolo Sorrentino is known for his visually stunning movies like The Great Beauty and Youth. Today I will be breaking down visuals, the story, performances and just overall experience. So if you haven't seen it or you are on the fence, then keep watching for a full review. But before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a new video. So let's start, shall we? So the movie is not without its flaws, and I saw some controversial reviews online from both critics and viewers, and I can understand both of them, but I must say that I really enjoyed this film and I'm going to mention why in today's video. So it's basically a story about Parthenope, but she's neither a siren nor a myth. She's just a girl that bears the name of her city and tries to find love and happiness in the long summers of her youth. And I think it's a very beautiful story. I think that Paolo Sorrentino has done an amazing job portraying and telling the story about the complexity of being a woman, because Parthenope, she possesses great beauty, mind and soul, and yet we see in this film that she is being objectified by men. And of course this movie is also set against backdrop of the incredible Naples, a very beautiful city that is also filled with a lot of contradictions. So I think that this is the story of personal drama, and also that tells us and shares some philosophical ideas as well. One of the biggest highlights of this movie is visuals and cinematography. If you're familiar with Paolo Sorrentino's works, then you know that his cinematography is nothing short of extraordinary, and Parthenope is no exception. Like, this movie is so visually stunning. I fell in love with almost every frame, and from the first opening sequence I was able to see that every scene was so beautifully crafted. I know that there were a lot of especially like from critics, there were some reviews that it looks as if it was like a eau de parfum commercial, but I disagree. I think it's just a very beautiful movie. The way he was able to show the Naples with its beautiful picturesque landscapes, and also contrasted with very intimate and very introspective moments, I think was sensational. And of course Paolo Sorrentino's use of color is also on full display, like these like bright hues that basically like evoke the full story. And I think that every scene just feels like the work of art, and I just wanted to pause. I think what is so great about this movie that you can just pause it if you're watching, of course, online, and you can just look through every scene more carefully, because as I said, I think that every scene is kind of like the work of art, and there are so many details, like so many rich details. So yeah, I really loved the way this movie was shot and the way it was made. I think that Parthenope has some very nice performances, but mainly, of course, I would like to talk about Celesta Della Porta, who played the younger version of Parthenope, because it was her time to shine. And whether she was experiencing moments of joy or sorrow, I think her performance was very raw and very authentic. Just in general, I really loved the way her character was written. I even felt as if I resonated with her. She plays a very complex, extremely beautiful, very mindful, very smart and intriguing woman who knows her worth, and yet she never uses it to her advantage. And she sees the world, I think, the way she sees the world is very different from all other characters from this story, and that makes her like the most interesting character. I mean, she's the main character. So basically she sees beauty where others don't, and I found it so fascinating about her. And she is being worshipped by men, and yet she is being objectified by them as well. So I found it actually very interesting. And of course there were some nice, I think, performances from the supporting cast. Specifically, of course, I would like to mention Gary Oldman, because it was very nice to see him. I know that I have read that he really wanted to work with Paolo Sorrentino, and I think that his character, he plays like an old writer, like the part with him and Parthenope felt very intimate, and it was probably one of my highlights of the whole movie. The city of Naples has become the character itself in this movie, symbolizing the complexity of memory and this beauty in decay. And I understand that for some, the pacing might be a bit too slow, but I love Paolo Sorrentino specifically for his ability to build up that atmosphere rather than the story itself. Like, he's, I think, a master of creating this atmosphere. I have just realized that I think that while watching, like when you're watching his movies, it is as if you are dancing, and it's not a very fast dance. Like it's a very slow burn type of dance, and very, of course, like music. We're going to talk about music a little bit later, but yes, it's kind of like dancing. And yes, I personally found some moments in the story just like quite questionable, because like the full story felt at times a little bit like patchwork. So it's basically like, it was for me like up and down, and like even before the final scenes, I didn't know how I felt about this movie. And I think I still don't, but I kind of like it. I like that I have watched this movie and I still don't what I really think about it. Like, it makes me think, and that's why I appreciate such movies, you know, they make you think. And yes, as I said, like, visually, absolutely beautiful film. Pacing, it's 100% the type of movies that I love watching. So if you are one of these people that love, you know, slow burn type of movies that pay like enough attention to the interior of the characters' lives, that give you this time to explore every single like part of it, then this film is definitely for you. If you want something which is more action-packed, which is like more fast-forward, then yes, Parthenope is definitely not for you. And especially if you are also looking like for the story, if like the story is core for you, because for me, atmosphere is the core, and the story is kind of, you know, like the second thing. Of course, I would like to talk about the soundtrack, because it was the moment I realized that I liked this movie. Like, the soundtrack is so naughtingly beautiful. Paolo Sorrentino has always been very good at pairing his visuals with the score, and this time is no different. But I am just in love. Like, I fell in love with this soundtrack. It's very simple, yet mysterious and so elegant. And I think that it is kind of an extension to the Parthenope's character. And as I said, I've just loved it so much. And I think that this soundtrack like builds up and gives more emotional, you know, connection with the story. And also it's the kind of soundtrack I think that lingers with you long after you have finished watching the movie. So what's my final verdict on Parthenope? I really loved this movie for its visual parts. If you know Paolo Sorrentino, then you know that he's very good at creating those visually stunning movies. So if you like his style, this film is definitely for you. I loved the tone, because I think it's very reflective and meditative, and it doesn't try to entertain you or to amuse you. It makes you think and feel and reflect, and that's my cup of tea. And I also loved the soundtrack. One more time, I think it's a masterpiece, and if you're not going to watch the movie, please listen to soundtrack, because it's unbelievably beautiful, I think. And also I loved that it's kind of the story that is a contemplative exploration of womanhood, of beauty, of like memory and youth, of course. And yeah, I loved it. But if you are not a very big fan of slow pacing movies, then it's definitely not one for you. But if you are one more time familiar with Paolo Sorrentino's style, then I think you definitely need to watch it. I think he is an incredible director, and he has created yet another very beautiful and very like interesting story. And as I said, this movie is not without its flaws, and there are some moments I have found questionable, like I have found them controversial. I didn't feel that they were necessary, but at the same time, as I said, I'm watching his movies not for the story. I'm watching his movies for the atmosphere he creates. And I felt the connection with Parthenope. Like I felt that I have found something within myself, actually quite a lot of things that are very similar to like who she is, to like her traits that she has in this film. And I think it's a great job. I know that a lot of people didn't like this film specifically for the way he showed a woman character, a female character, but I disagree. I think that he has done a very nice job. Thank you so much for watching. Have you seen the Parthenope yet? What did you think about it? Please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate every single one of you, and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you again very soon with another video that is connected with my previous one. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's about movies you probably didn't know were remakes. And I will see you again next time.